Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the PE Geek Podcast, and as always, absolute pleasure to have your company. And the fact that you would sit here and actually put your headphones in, and whether you're moving or traveling or studying or whatever you're doing, means a lot. Now, I'm joined today by a guest from Tokyo in Adriaan Defraeije. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Jarrod. Thanks for having me.
Now, I hear it's a pretty exciting time for you at this particular moment. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it's a very exciting times ahead with a second baby due to arrive in the next maybe 48 hours or so.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you're based in Tokyo, and is that somewhere that you've been for quite some time, or judging by your accent, have you traveled around the world a little bit?
Yeah, this is my third year at Tokyo International School.
Right.
I arrived here 1 year prior to that, and I was then working at the British School of Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was 6 years in China at the British School in Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
And before Shanghai, I was in Tanzania, in Arusha, Braeburn International School, which was great. Did my teaching practice in Spain, but obtained my teaching certificate in Belgium.
Excellent. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the amazing thing about teaching, isn't it? This is cross-cultural, cross-country sort of profession that we can have in. So, I mean, has it always been involved in phys ed or elements of that, or is that something that's come along as the years have gone by?
It's always been part of the job. I graduated as a PE teacher, but also as a computer science teacher.
Amazing.
So it's the kind of two passions that I've managed to combine in my studies and then further continue in my profession. And it's a really good mix. And some years it's more PE, and then some years it's more IT, and it gives me that balance, that choice also for different jobs, different positions.
And it sort of reignites the passion in each of the entities as well, because if you have a bit of time off and you get back into it, you sort of get inspired. Like, it's very similar to what I studied as my second method. You may not know, but my second method is information technology. So I did all the undergrad computer science classes, not full programming, but we did have some programming elements in there, and that was very much reflective of my interest in tech at that time growing up. And then what that means is I'm the same as you. I can teach that sort of tech side and also the phys ed side, and I find it really quite complementary in many ways. So, I mean, was tech always something that you grew up with, because that led you down that path?
It was something that I guess was naturally that I was quite good at and enjoyed doing. So when I needed to decide what is it I'm going to continue with at uni, I'd rather do something I enjoy doing than something that maybe gets me a high-paid job.
Yes, for sure. Yeah,
and that's kind of natural from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. It was very much a passion thing for me, and although I don't get to teach the tech part as much, it's definitely found its way infused into the phys ed world. So was that something obvious for you? Like, obviously you have them in these discrete subjects as well, but when you started, using them in phys ed, was it because of your passion before, or for other reasons?
I think fusion really didn't happen for me until age. I finished my studies in about 2005-06, right? And so then the first iPhone came out around a little bit later, I think. 2007 and 2008. And I think that was really where it started. The technology was a lot more mobile, a lot more accessible, certainly with the apps. And I think from there it grew. So it's really something that was added later on. Initially, there were really two different things, and it was really nice to have them as two separate things. And now the more I go into PE, the more IT comes in. But I wonder sometimes how it'd be the other way around. I think it's harder to infuse the PE into the IT as a coding thing. So that's how it's gonna.
For sure. I think back to a placement that I went on, a teaching placement, and we had to teach computer science to a group of like 13, 14-year-olds, and we had to do it without computers, and which was just because the computer room was not available at the time, and this is pre sort of laptop mobile days. It was computer labs. and we couldn't get access to them. So being a phys ed teacher, I was like, how can I teach do you remember the programming language Logo, and you had to use a little turtle and manipulate it? We basically used that to create a phys ed style game in yeah, I mean, it wasn't the greatest of things that we'd achieved, but you're right, it's much more difficult to go back the other way, trying to manipulate, implement phys ed into tech. But I mean, along the way, it seems like you've done some really good things with technology infused in phys ed, and that's led you down to becoming an Apple Distinguished Educator. What's that all about?
Well, it's I guess it's a recognition by Apple that showing and saying that you're doing some really nice things with technology, trying to do new things and to develop to enhance learning with technology. And as it's an Apple Distinguished Educator title, we use a lot of we are in one-to-one school, and we have a lot of iPads, so we use a lot of the Apple tools in order to transform the learning that we do in a lot of different areas in the school. And it's one of these things that enables you. The great thing about the ADE, it's what it's called, is that you get access to all these other phenomenal people that are Apple Distinguished Educators, and there is this website on the Apple website, like a forum, where you can interact with thousands of other ADEs, and so certainly you have access to all these fantastic minds, of which I'm not one of them. But it's and that's a great thing about this. It's a network of really cool teachers that do better things.
So did you put your hand up in for one of the enrollment cycles a few years ago, or how does that whole process work? Because people listening, they may have not heard of Apple Distinguished Education program, and it might be something that they're intrigued in.
Yeah, so every 2 years there is the new enrollment. The upcoming enrollment will most likely be starting around December, with a deadline to submit. Most often it is a video that shows how you transform the learning in your classroom with Apple technology. And so you submit the video on the Apple website. There's a particular dedicated page to that on the Apple website. And then from there, you answer a few questions as well. You wait a couple of months, and then fingers crossed to get an email to say that you've been selected for the program. Yeah,
that's really good.
Really that's cool. One, actually. And then what we've just actually accomplished now after this is last week we received an email and we did a similar process, but then for the whole school. And so now we've become an Apple Distinguished School, and that's another every 2 year cycle enrollment for people who are interested in that. Yeah.
Excellent. And then again, I mean, obviously that comes with the recognition that goes with it, and it's quite an attractive, thing for promotion to people coming to schools. In this, in this modern day age, I think it's quite important that those things are set in motion. So obviously the Apple platforms had a bit of a role in your phys ed space. And the thing that got me wanting to interview you in this episode was, I think, one of the best examples of the use of a particular app called Clipstro that I've ever seen. Yeah. And for anyone listening, if you've never seen Clipstro, it's basically, what would you say? It's a camera app that allows you to take a strobe-like effect, and you've been using it really well in, what was the unit that you had the students using it for?
It was a high jump unit, and it's called Flying Higher.
Yeah. And they basically had to do what with it? Because what I saw on the internet was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, actually, Jarrod, that was wrong. I think I'm talking about two different things here. And so the first one, the one that I think you talked about is the one with the javelin.
Oh, yes, the javelin.
Not the high jump, but it's where we work in an IB school, and I often use it in my middle school classes where we do the MYP. And in the MYP, one of the criteria is that students need to analyze and summarize a performance. And so in order for students to really see a performance, in the past I used to have a camera with a high frequency shutter speed and take a lot of pictures, and then I had the kids on Photoshop, put it all together in different layers, and it took them 2 hours. And this year I started looking at maybe a faster way, because there's that balance between how much time you put in and how much you get out. And it was a bit unbalanced. And so I found this app, and it's this kind of sequence shot that it takes. Very clearly showing exactly what is happening at very short intervals, and then together with a rubric that the students created as well, it just enables the student to really summarize the performance much better than what we were able to do before.
Yeah, and I mean, just you're right. There's the benefit of doing something. It can be lost sometimes to how long that thing takes to be done, and you know, they're just testament to this. I'm assuming they captured the javelin run up and release and the approach, and then virtually had the completed product straight away. Was that how it sort of worked?
Yeah, it's a 30-second affair compared to almost a 3-day affair, because they had to watch a video tutorial that I had made on YouTube before, and all the challenges that came with it. So there's this app, and it's just a really cool app to see. I mean, the way it works. There's a few things you have to kind of make sure you do in order for it to work well. But yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah,
so I mean, if you wanted to have a look at this app in question, you can head over to thepegeek.com/Clipstro, which is CLIPSTRO, and you'll find the blog post where we've embedded the picture that was taken that really piqued my interest. And I know you actually married it up with a rubric, which I think is quite cool, because a lot of educators might just take some snapshots and then you know, basically show it just for motivational reasons, or just, you know, because they find it interesting. But you actually married it up with assessment, and I think it made really a lot of sense. So the approach phase, the drive, release, and recovery, and the image basically helped them identify that. So what did they have to do? Did they mark themselves, or did they work with a peer?
Yeah, so there was a peer coaching task. So it was a pre-assessment, and then they analyzed the video, made a summary, and then they had to set specific goals that they were going to try and work on with their athletes, the other students. And then afterwards, we did a similar assessment, and then we could compare, and it was really obvious whether the coaching had an impact or not. It's powerful.
And that's the cool part about technology, in that we actually can show the evidence of those things rather than assume it, which I think for many years, you know, I've been victim of just making these assumptions based on not much. And I think technology can have a massive role there. So, I mean, that's a great example. Is there anything else that you've been playing around with over the years in terms of an app or a website, resource, etc., that you're quite fond of as well?
Look, I think for me it's all about feedback and understanding, and one of the most powerful things for movement is really is the slow-mo, the most simple function that the slow-mo function on the regular iPads. If you show kids what they do themselves, they get to learn so much quicker. So that's one thing that I think it's free if you have an iPad, and it's really efficient for the kids to use, again, in combination with rubric. It really helps develop understanding of their own movement. Another thing is Hudl Technique, which is brilliant. I think I might have taken that from you from one of your conferences, actually. And it's just a tool that enables you to very quickly annotate a video snippet. You can narrate over it, you can draw arrows, and for kids to, again, look at it and highlight their own things that they need to improve in, or things that they're doing well. It's very powerful.
For sure. I mean, it just always makes me think about, you know, where we were. I remember doing some stuff like that back at university, some video analysis tasks. Did you ever do anything like that? You know, we did it as part of sports science, and it was so convoluted, and just like it just, again, took away from the reason why we were doing it. Which is, you know, the opposite of why we want to be doing these things. So I think they're really powerful, and anything that gives feedback sort of then and there is just going to be successful.
I mean, do you remember what you needed in terms of hardware, in order to
Yeah,
do like a video analysis.
we had a full-on video camera, so not connected to a computer. It connected via FireWire, if anyone remembers that,
Okay.
and it was into a computer that had this funny USB authorization thing that you had to plug in, and the software was a couple of grand, and it was just from getting a video recorded to actually then being able to see it was a half an hour sort of process. And you just lost all of the timeliness about the feedback and, you know, why it was useful. And it just took you out of the reason why you were there in the first place. And, yeah, really didn't sell me on tech at all. But then, yeah, things like Hudl Technique come out. They're free. You can record and do it immediately. You can do it whether you're a mum and you're sitting at a basketball game of your kid or whether you're, like us, a phys ed teacher. It's just no limit. So, yeah, I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I think feedback's the key. Anything that speeds that up. So along the way, like me, I'm assuming you've made mistakes because I've made lots when it comes to using technology.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the biggest things I've done is assuming that if it's just tech-based, maybe the kids would like it or prefer it more, and maybe I've thrown in something that doesn't need to be there. That's probably a common issue that I've made along the years. So what about yourself? Is there anything that comes to mind that sticks out as something that didn't work so well?
I think one example was with Hudl Technique, actually, where I had a whole project planned where I wanted the kids to analyze a gameplay, and I introduced the game straight away, the exercise straight away, and then they had to use this app, which was brand new to them, and maybe my expectations were too high, but although they knew apps and the kids still need time to get to know the new environment, and so we ended up losing quite a lot of time because the kids just couldn't use the app. And that was quite a good lesson for me to realize that, look, if I want to use a more complex app that's more than just taking a picture, I need to progressively introduce the application maybe in previous units before I can really use it for a full summative assessment. So that was really something that I've noticed, that be careful in straight away trying something big with new technologies, and start small and do the little bits first, and if that goes well, take the next step.
I mean, it's something that is really easy to do, because if, like yourself, you know, we're connected through social channels and so on, and you see what someone's done, but you don't have the context about where they've progressed from that. You know, they may have had some upskilling taking place with their students, because I know I've been the same. I've ended up spending more time teaching the tool than the actual what we were trying to do it for. So I think that's really good advice to start small.
And then there's also the reliability, right, of especially the internet. We are a Google school as well, so and sometimes just the internet doesn't quite work as you want to, and if you've planned a whole lesson, and I think in the past I kind of tried to push through. You know, it's going to work, but I think I've learned to, if it doesn't work after a few minutes, just abandon and try again later on, rather than to keep pushing through, because you end up losing really valuable time with the kids. I think that's something else that I've learned along the way. Just try.
For sure.
It's okay to try again.
And I think it's okay to make mistakes too. And I think you'd be a testament to that. I would be, and anyone who's, you know, playing with this space of technology, things are going to go wrong. Things aren't going to work all the time. But I reckon it really does model, and I say it a lot on this podcast, it models what real learning is. You know, we shouldn't be afraid to make these mistakes and then, you know, come back and reintroduce it with some changes, because ultimately that's what we're doing or trying to get our students to do. I love it. So you've been a big connector online, and where did that sort of start for you?
It started, to be honest, it started on Learning 2.0 back in 2010, Shanghai. It's I think I was part of the committee who helped organize the event back then, and I think you did one of the talks there. In
2011, I think I was there.
Or 2011?
I think so. One of those, maybe.
Yeah, one of those. And yeah, from there I was like, all right, there is more to it. Social media, there was a lot of talk then from guys that were on Twitter and China, that as I had been there for so long, it was really, we were a bit shielded from it all, with the Great Firewall. But then moving out of China into Japan, it's really started there. And I'm in a department where I'm the only middle school teacher, and so having found the online community of PE teachers has been tremendously useful for me, where I can bounce off ideas and get new ideas. I've had so many positive experiences from that Twitter community and Facebook communities.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the reason why I valued it too. Like small school, first year. Out in a small school, and you're craving to learn as much as you possibly can, but you can't always learn from the people around you. And when you get to cast that net a little wider, it's just magical. So if you are listening and you haven't signed up, I know I've encouraged you a lot to do that, but head over to the 14daytwitterchallenge.com and you'll find a 14-day guide to getting started on Twitter and connecting. So where can people find out more about you in terms of your social networks, and where can they connect with you?
Well, I'm on Twitter on Defraeije. On Twitter, it's my handle. I have a blog as well, AdriaanDefraeije.com. So, yeah, we're very active as well, or trying to be quite active as well in the MYP Physical and Health Education Facebook groups. If people want to connect to talk about that, more than welcome to anytime.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's one of these days where we've got so many different ways to connect with people. I often say if you want to connect with someone, you can probably find a way to do it. So I guess the answer is, find the medium that that you enjoy, whether that's Twitter like myself, or I know a lot of people are fond of Voxer these days. Whatever it happens to be, just embrace that one and try and, you don't have to be on all the platforms. I think that's a recipe for disaster at times, but find the one that's benefiting to you. So I want to thank you for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing all the stuff that you continue to do.
Yeah, thanks, Jarrod.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Speak soon.
Bye.
Awesome, man.